Good morning, everybody. Take two. This is the second time I've recorded this meeting, this update. The first time I forgot to share all the slides with you. So we'll try again. I am very pleased and very proud to be able to finally share our report from our most recent Ofsted inspection. If you recall, the inspection took place just before half term during the national lockdown. What happens when the inspection's finished, the report gets drafted. It comes to me for some factual checking to make sure that all of the facts within the report, I can't change any opinions of the inspectors, but I can change facts if they've misrepresented or got those facts wrong. There's a bit of backwards and forwards in terms of that. And then the report goes off to be quality assured back at Ofsted Towers. It goes through their very thorough quality assurance process, and that takes about a month. So we are now in a position to be able to share our report and outcomes. And what I plan to do is I'm just going to do that, and then oops. What I should then be able to do is this, and then we should be able to go here and like this. There we go. Super. So this is one of our regular Ofsted parent updates to share the outcome of our Section 8 monitoring visit and report. Now, I just want to make clear that the usual inspection framework, and quite rightly, the usual inspection framework had been paused back in March last year. Ofsted adjusted their usual inspection framework to allow inspectors to continue to work during the COVID-19 pandemic. Back in September last year, Ofsted released an operational note to school leaders to explain how inspections would work during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the focus of our inspection was very precise. And for any school inspected during the national lockdown, the focus was about, is the school continuing to provide an education in the current circumstances? So it was about what our remote provision looked like. So what does that mean? Well, they wanted to check, the inspectors rightly wanted to check that we were still continuing to provide an education for the children, to allow them to continue to make progress through the curriculum, even though some of them were at home. The inspection took place virtually. We had lots and lots of virtual meetings. The inspectors did not come into school. What we were able to do, and what I insisted that we did with the inspectors in order to give context to the school since the last inspection in July 2019, we were able to talk about the circumstances for my arrival in October 2019, but also the development work of the school and the improvement work that we've done. So we talked about the development of the school culture, the school values, the vision, the new curriculum, a load of new policies that we've put in place, and what that allowed us to do was to give context for the discussion and the scrutiny of our remote provision. We were able to share our plans for remote learning. Ofsted wanted to see what they'd look like. They wanted to see how we had developed that remote learning offer during the two lengthy national lockdowns. We were able to explain and demonstrate how we used Google Classroom to ensure continuity of our planned curriculum. And we were also able to share some of the children's work. So I just want to talk through with you some of the things that the inspectors were able to do, even though they weren't in school. And in a second, I'll talk to you about the couple of things that they were not able to do because they were not in school. But for all intents and purposes, this was a thorough process as it could possibly have been. I'm really pleased about that because it allowed us to demonstrate really well what we have done. So the inspectors visited the Google Classrooms to see the kind of quality of work being set and how it was being, how feedback was being given to the students, what that looked like. how that work was being assessed and how those assessments informed teaching and planning moving forwards. What they were also able to do was to see sequence of learning that had happened. And we were also able to demonstrate, and for some of our students further up the school, is how the students were working collaboratively using Google Classroom on some work. So that was very thorough. A big focus for the inspection was around what support had we offered to those children with special educational needs or the students entitled to additional funding, such that those students were not disadvantaged by the fact that they were not in school but at home. That was a big focus of this inspection, and we were able to talk about the things that we put in place to ensure those students didn't fall behind. The inspectors met with several subject leaders throughout the course of the 2 days, and they also met with several class teachers and a couple of teaching assistants as well. The inspectors listened to several children read. So the children were in school reading with their class teachers as they would normally do, and the inspectors observed remotely. The inspectors met with several children. These were students who were in school, so it was a virtual meeting. The inspectors met with several children to talk about what school had been like during the lockdown. Throughout the course of the 2 days, the inspectors met regularly with me, with Annabelle, and with Annabelle, my CEO, and I'm sure most of you have met Annabelle by now, and also Steph Lovett, our school improvement partner, who again I know some of you have met because she's been to, when we were able to host face-to-face versions of these meetings, she came to some of those as well. And those meetings were regularly through the course of the 2 days. The inspectors met with governors. They surveyed parents via Parent View. Talk more about that in a minute. And they surveyed staff as they would usually do, and they scrutinized with a fine-tooth comb our curriculum planning documents. What we were able to talk about in a huge amount of detail is the planning, the research, and the evidence base that has gone into creating Southfield's new curriculum, but also what our plans are next for what our curriculum looks like. And I'm really pleased to say that what we told the inspectors we would do next, they agreed was the right course of action. So I'm really pleased about that. So what the inspectors didn't do, Ofsted have a policy of not visiting live lessons where the children were joining from their own homes. Now for us, what that meant was every live lesson that we offered during that lockdown, students were joining us from their own home. So they couldn't visit any of our live lessons. They also didn't observe any live lessons while the inspection took place because of the nature of the inspection. But everything else they were able to complete as they would usually do. Now the outcome of the inspection is not a graded inspection, so we don't change the grade of the school. It's, you know, that wasn't the purpose of this inspection. You recall the purpose of this inspection was to make sure that we're still providing an education in the current circumstances, and both inspectors agreed that we are doing that, or we have done that during the course of the lockdown, and that we're taking effective action to provide education. Now, you and I think we're able to demonstrate quite clearly that happened throughout the course of lockdown, and actually our data shows that our students, even though they've been at home, will continue to make progress, which is really positive. So just in terms of what we need to do next, I'm just coming back to that point I made just now about what we talked to the inspectors about what needs to happen next here, they agreed with, which I'm really pleased about, and it is this. What we need to do is we've developed our curriculum, we've got our units for each term, we've got our stories that form the basis of our units of work, and what we now need to do is to map really carefully that specific and precise knowledge that we want pupils to learn and remember. And we have to set that out in a huge amount of detail for each year group in each subject. talk you through what that looks like. In every year group, in every subject, in every lesson, subject leaders need to map out exactly what it is the children are going to be learning. What new knowledge the teachers will be teaching the students. And it's in that level of detail. And just to give you some idea about what that process looks like, let's just imagine for a second that you are the science leader in school and you are looking at the science curriculum. Science gets taught every week in, say, year 6. On average, there are 6 science lessons in each of the 6 terms of a school year. That's 36 science lessons across year 6. Every one of those single lessons needs to have the precise knowledge that you will teach the children mapped so that we can see how it builds up over time. Now, the knowledge the children get taught in year 6 builds on knowledge the students get taught in year 5, which builds on the knowledge students get taught in year 3. And then all of a sudden, that's a lot of science lessons that we have to map out the knowledge for. It's the right thing to do, and I'm really pleased that we knew that was the next job, and Ofsted have also said that yes, that is the right course of action next. Now, the thing about primary curriculum is that a lot of it is skills-based work. So, for example, let's talk about watercolor painting is a good example to use here. Watercolor painting in year 5. The children are asked to complete a watercolor painting of what they think the setting in Goodnight Mr. Tom might look like as part of a series of art lessons in year 5 in term 4. So maybe each week the students are exploring and learning about a different media that they could potentially use. And week 3 of that series of 5 lessons is watercolor. Now, watercolor is a skill. I can practice watercolor painting, but I'm not going to get any better at it unless I know exactly what knowledge I have to learn in order to get better. So a question for you, something to think about. Feel free to pause the video to have a think about it if you want to. What knowledge must the children have to complete that watercolor painting? I'm not talking about skills. Skills are almost non-existent in this context. I'm thinking about knowledge. That's the work my subject leaders need to do, and that's the work we've already started in that level of detail. How are we going to go about doing that? Well, as we have done throughout our curriculum development work here at Southfield, is in collaboration. We have to do this work together, not just with subject leaders here at Southfield, but also our subject leaders at one of our other primary schools within the trust who have also developed a brilliant curriculum. We're going to get our subject leaders to work together to map exactly what that looks like. Now, that work, it sounds huge because it is. It's a huge job. It's the right job, and we shouldn't shy away from it because it's the right. Just because it's hard doesn't mean we don't do it. It's the right thing to do. It will be finished by September. On the 1st of September, you will be able to see exactly what knowledge your children will be learning at any point in any subject throughout our school. So what's next? We've already started that work. We will continue to do that work. I had a brilliant meeting yesterday with our IC, with our computing lead. Mrs. Jordan has taken on the lead of computing. We were talking about the new scheme of work that she is bringing in and what that looks like and how we map that knowledge. And I've had those conversations with several other members of staff already as well, and that work has already begun. In terms of what's next for Ofsted, they have announced their intention to resume their full range of inspection activities. Rightly so, back in March last year, Ofsted paused its visits to schools in person. and it paused its inspection framework. And I'm pleased, it was the right thing to do. January 2021, those inspections resumed, and we were inspected virtually, as I've described here. After the Easter, those full face-to-face inspections are planned to begin again. That includes full Section 5 inspections of schools in special measures, like us. I'm pleased about that. I want that Section 5 inspection as quickly as possible. Like I say, the current plan is that those inspections will start after Easter. And if I get a phone call from Ofsted on the first day back after Easter, be assured that we are ready for those inspections. However, everything depends on the data, on the national picture around what the COVID pandemic is looking like. If infection rates begin to go up again, Ofsted may decide that going into schools to complete face-to-face inspections is not the right time to do that. We'll just have to wait and see. Under the usual circumstances, if the pandemic had not happened, we would have had a full Section 5 inspection by July 21 at the latest. Ofsted guidance is very clear on this. If a school is inspected and it goes into either requires improvement or into special measures, as our school has, the next full inspection must be within 2 years of the first inspection. So for us, we were inspected in July 2019. We must have another full inspection by July 21. These are not normal times. So I don't know if that is going to be the case or not. My gut feeling, and it's only a gut feeling, and I have no evidence whatsoever to back this up, is that we will get another monitoring visit before the end of this academic year, and then a full Section 5 inspection quite early on in the next academic year. Like I say, no evidence to back that up whatsoever. That's just my gut feeling, and I could be completely wrong. We may get a Section 5 inspection in the first week after the Easter holidays. We'll just have to wait and see. What I want to do very quickly is just share some of the highlights from the report's main findings. So this, I'm really pleased that the inspectors were able to pick this up. Reading is a priority at Southfield Primary School. Children who are still at the early stages of reading have regular phonics lessons and activities to undertake. Staff read to pupils daily. Pupils who need extra support to catch up get the help they need. Reading and the development of vocabulary is at the centre of your plans to improve the curriculum. What we were able to do was to describe to the inspectors the curriculum development around reading and put reading and writing at the heart of what we do. I'm really pleased that the inspectors were able to pick that up. I want to pick up on the parent survey. We talked earlier about the Ofsted had surveyed you as parents, and I'm so grateful to those parents who took the time out of their day to submit answers to that parent view survey. Almost without exception, parents who expressed their views through the online survey Parent View spoke highly of the education the school is providing during the national lockdown. And I couldn't be more thankful to those parents who shared their comments. And there were loads and loads of comments from parents about what we were doing. And I'm incredibly grateful to you. So thank you for recognising the efforts of my team during that national lockdown. It meant a huge amount to them to know that you were speaking highly of what they were doing. The Special Educational Needs Coordinator has provided staff with training in identifying and providing for the needs of pupils with SEND. Teachers adapt their lessons so that pupils with SEND can continue to learn both in school and at home. And again, that comes back to the point I made right at the beginning. The focus of the inspection was around what our remote provision looked like, but also, are we making sure that those most vulnerable students are getting what they need to continue to thrive? And what we were able to demonstrate is that, yes, they were. Teachers have adapted to school's curriculum so that it can continue to be taught in the current circumstances. what I was able to do was to demonstrate with and share lots and lots of examples of where teachers had made adaptations to the planned school curriculum to enable that learning to happen at home. And the example that the inspector has picked up on here is from some science experiments that I was able to show and the outcomes of those science experiments. And actually, if we were in school, we would have been using correct kind of proper scientific equipment. But obviously at home, folks at home don't necessarily have a bunch of Petri dishes lying around or some filter paper or you know, whatever it was that we were using at the time. But you had a whole bunch of stuff in your kitchen that allowed the students to continue with the science learning. I had loads of examples where we were able to demonstrate that. So I'm really pleased that my teachers had given really careful thought to what that was going to look like. So where can you read the report? Well, it's attached to the email I sent with this video. It's also on the school website. So please take a look. There's a school website there. And it's on the Ofsted pages of the school website. It's where I put all of these parent updates. They all go on there. Any monitoring reports, any reports, they all go onto the school website. So please take a look at those. You'll also find this video and the report on our social media pages over the course of the next few days. I plan to share widely as possible, this update, because it's a really important milestone for us here. We are able to demonstrate the work that we've done to improve the school, but also how brilliant our remote provision was. And you know, if what we want to be able to do is to share that with as many people as possible. So if you see stuff popping up on your news feeds, on your social pages over the next few days from our school accounts, please share it as widely as you can. And again, just a huge thank you for your continued support. And what the final thing I just want to say on this is it goes without saying that I am immensely proud of the work that my staff have done during that period of national lockdown, and to be able to share that with Ofsted and to show them what a good job that we thought we were doing, and for them to acknowledge that we have been doing that wonderful job for our children. It filled me with immense pride to be able to share that with the inspectors, and for them to recognize that what we were doing it was really, really strong. So I'm really, really proud of my team and of the support that we had from you as parents, and also how the children coped with it, because without them, I wouldn't have been able to share those updates in terms of what the outcomes were looking like in terms of our remote provision. So I'm really pleased and really proud of that inspection report. And I look forward to our next full Section 5 inspection, whenever that may be. And hopefully it's sooner rather than later. As usual, folks, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to get in touch via the usual channels. And I look forward to sharing the next one of these Ofsted parent updates with you in the summer term, where we'll be able to detail a little bit more about what that curriculum work looks like. But for now, thank you very, very much indeed for listening. And I look forward to hearing and seeing from you very soon. Bye-bye.